Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could join us once again. For those tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we're glad you all can be with us. Going to bring in our friends over on IG so they can be a part of our conversation. And last but certainly not least, going to bring in our friends over on Amazon Live. And we have a first solo appearance of our next guest. So I'm very excited about that. I think you guys are going to really get a lot out of this. And we're now live on Amazon Live with Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. I'm going to type you guys a quick welcome message in there. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button, either here in this corner or down below. You also will see some of the books by our next guest. We're so excited to welcome Dr. Anissa Short to our broadcast today. Anissa is someone I've gotten to know now for a couple of years personally, but she's someone who's been very impactful, not only being able to help other people in sharing their works with the world, but she's also an author herself. In fact, I'm going to be talking about this book I'm going to highlight for you guys in the carousel on Amazon. It's called The Quintessential Woman. For those of you joining us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, as well as on YouTube, you'll see the link there. We'll talk to Dr. Anissa not only about her own writing journey, but what's been like for her to motivate and inspire others, and also let you guys know how to stay connected with her. Dr. Anissa, welcome to the program.
Hey, Cyrus, thank you so very much once again for another opportunity to hang out with you in this space.
The pleasure is definitely all mine. Hello, Tina's joining us over on IG. Hey, Tina. You got a chance to meet Tina there last year there in Fayetteville, North Carolina. You've made some moves and changes. Dr. Ness, I want to talk to you about this experience for you because, as I mentioned in my intro, you've been able to work with other creatives and authors and sharing their messages. What has it been like for you to not only walk in your own journey as a best-selling author, but to see the response to your work?
Cyrus, I must be honest. I have not really focused as much on my own work as I have in helping other people, to be honest with you. I will publish a book, I get it out there. I've done curated a few anthology projects. I'm really excited about helping others get their stories told. And the book gets published, I push it to the side and I get busy helping somebody else. And it wasn't until the first of this year that I did it took an inventory and I was like, listen, sis, it's good to help other people, but there's a lot out there that people probably don't even know that you've been a part of and that you've created. And so you need to take time to pause, and it's okay. It's okay to promote your own work. And so, yeah, that's what I decided to do.
And it's been great watching you do that. I told you I had a chance to read The Quintessential Woman. We're going to get into that. Dr. Nessa is putting her book in a big event we have coming up in October. For those of you on Amazon, we're going to be talking more about that this week and releasing some great information for the rest of you guys as well. But Dr. Nessa, could you have imagined, though, that something that you personally wrote would be able to touch people and to motivate them in their lives?
No, not really. Not at all. You make reference to The Quintessential Woman. It's one of my most recent releases. But if I had done things in a chronological order, it really would have been my first book. And because the content that I have in this book was given to me probably some 18 years ago. It was just sitting, waiting to be birthed. The biggest challenge was to try to find the correct title. I went in the format for the content, but it's been a journey and it's been a joy, honestly, getting it out. Dr. Norma, I have to attribute her to the push or the kick, whichever word would be the best, to get me to do more, because I never thought I would have published as many books. I really thought I was going to do the one that I, introduced to her to get published, and that would be it. But the journey has been real. It hasn't always been pretty, but it's been real, and I'm thankful for it.
And I should say the subtitle of the book is The Success Strategist Guide to Leadership and Legacy from the Proverbs 31 Woman. That's going to be important later for our conversation, Dr. Anissa. So let's go back then, because I think, as you mentioned, we don't get to talk a lot about you.
Okay.
So for those who are just discovering your own journey, we're able to learn about your work, in corporate, what you've done. You talk about that in this particular book. But when did you know you had a unique voice you wanted to share and that people could benefit from?
So after moving to Fayetteville, North Carolina in 2013, I became very engaged in my local community, attending a lot of networking events. I was very big in a leadership capacity with a direct sales company. And so, as usual, you go to a new area, you want to meet new people that could potentially be clients or people you can collaborate with. And in the course of doing that, I became known as the go-to person for small business owners. Others who had home-based businesses like myself began to reach out to me and ask for advice. I guess they thought I was smart, Cyrus. I really convinced them, didn't I? And so I began to coach them in ways and to represent in the marketplace with excellence during these events, how to properly network. These were skill sets that I brought with me from the corporate environment, right? And then it grew to even other companies and organizations that when they were hosting events and if they wanted vendors or exhibitors, they would ask me to partner with them and have me to handle that part of the event while they handle the other logistical parts of the event. So in the course of time, my phone began to ring with people calling because I was referred to them or something along that nature because they needed advice. And my husband said, you need to host a workshop or write a book. That way you can sell this information rather than giving it away free on 40-minute phone calls, you know. So that's how the book, the vendor blueprint, my very first book, came out. I knew then I had something to offer. I always knew it, but I always gave it away. Not because I didn't think it was worthy to be paid for, but because of the nature of who I am. I'm a giver. I'm a server. So when people ask for help, I'm willing to help. But my husband helped me to see that this is a skill set. This is something that people, especially if they're in business or wanting to build professionally, they need to invest in. And so that very first book, the vendor blueprint, that's not in circulation anymore, but I approached in meeting Dr. Norma at a networking event, asked her to help me get it published. And then from there, I began to be contacted for for speaking at networking events. So I went from helping to facilitate to being like the speaker and being on stages and things of that nature to share what I had to offer. And so it just kind of grew from there. And funny you say that, Cyrus, because my tagline to others when I speak is that your voice has value. I really believe that everyone has something to offer and they need to put it in a book.
Okay, so let's stay with that for a second. So you've always said it and believed it. Was it easy for you to embrace it yourself as you saw people looking to you and people believing in you and trusting you? Was it easy for you to embrace what other people saw in you?
Initially, I took it as a compliment. And, it was one of those, thank you. I really appreciate your kind words.
Hmm.
But I it wasn't as weighted as I think it should have been, if that made sense. It
Yeah.
wasn't the trigger. I took it with stride like I would any other compliment that a person would give me. I would say, thank you. I appreciate that. Dr. Norma was really the person, and my husband, the two of them, one was in the left ear, one was in the right ear, were the ones that continue to push me to say, you don't see what it is you offer. You don't, my husband even said that. He says, you don't see what other people see in you.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that was a good thing or a bad thing. It was just an observation. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He says, because some people wish they had what you have to offer. He says, and it comes easy for you and you don't even think about it. I said, no, I don't. I don't see what I'm doing is very remarkable. But that's what a gift is, Cyrus. When you are gifted to do something, you don't see it in the same light as others see it on the outside looking in. Because it becomes easy for you. But your gift makes room for you. At least that's what the word of God tells us. And so I had to understand that and embrace that and move in on that.
And that leads us to where we are today with all that you have going on. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents. Excited to welcome Dr. Anissa Short to our broadcast. She's been with us before representing Chosen Pen Publishing, but now she's here solo talking about her own work and what it's been like for her to look at her own impact. If you guys are joining us on the Amazon side, you'll notice in our carousel, either here on the side or down below, you'll see some of the books by Dr. Anissa, but highlighted is this book you guys see here, The Quintessential Woman. Again, for those of you joining us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, as well as on Instagram, you'll see the link with this broadcast as well. Monty Weaver, hello to you. Good to be able to see you over there on IG. I want to talk about Proverbs 31. That's kind of the weight of this book. And then it has your commentary and connection around it. Dr. Anissa, when did Proverbs 31 really take life for you and take shape?
In 2008, Cyrus, I made a decision to quit my good government job.
Mhm.
And it was a decision that wasn't hard to do, but it was a major pivot and shift in my life. I had to make that decision because my quality of life depended on it. And so after leaving the job, I decided I would be an entrepreneur exclusively. I was associated with a direct sales company. I didn't see that as being the ultimate, self-employment venture, but I did enjoy it. And so I had a window of time where I was in just this cloudy funk. That's the best way for me to describe it. It was kind of a what now position, and so I had to go into my secret place and have conversations in prayer and in contemplation on what am I supposed to be doing really, right? And it was at that time that I fully understood that I was to serve as a consultant or mentor of women in business. And that was given to me actually, Cyrus, when I was in school in undergrad. I was an accounting major, and I was led to change my major to business because at that time it was explained to me that I would be a consultant of women in business, a coach. And that didn't make sense because in the 90s the term coach really wasn't prevalent like it is now.
Right.
Fast forward, I was actually doing that in the direct sales community. And so I needed answers. And so three things were given to me in that window of time when I was searching for an answer. And that was the Titus 2 principle, which I've curated a book on that. And that's the importance of mentorship. And that's what a coach is. A coach is a mentor. So there is a need for that in our communities, period, but especially in the entrepreneurial space. That's a key thing that's discussed. Another thing was it is possible to be an executive from home and operate a home-based business and make executive income and have a quality lifestyle. That was given to me. And then the template for that is the Proverbs 31 woman. And I must be honest, prior to then, the only thing I knew about the Proverbs 31 woman was what I was taught in church. And that's what I should be a good wife and know how to cook and take care of my husband and children.
Right.
And that
Right.
didn't sound, and while that's important, none of that sounded sexy. So I read it
Yeah.
for myself, and so much was revealed to me in the reading of the entirety of those scriptures. And that's how this book came about.
Well, it's funny you mentioned three because that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this conversation, Dr. Nessa. Three things that stood out to me from the book. One, I had never heard you talk about before in the time you and I've been together, and that is the impact of your mother. You talk about in relation to this book about your mother telling you about not only the importance of completing tasks, but doing your best in doing it. What was it like for you to reflect on that and to be able to share it with readers, but also to think about the application for life today?
It was a full circle moment for me, Cyrus, because as a child being reared in a household where you have parents or guardians giving you instruction as you grow up or mature, it's just something that was passed on. You start a job, you complete it, and you do it well. And my mom was a taskmaster in the sense that if she came back and it didn't look right, you had to go back in there and fix it until it was as to be expected. Well, that was just something that I that was instilled in me as a child growing up. But now that I'm an adult and very much an adult, you look back on those things and you go, oh wow, these were really life skills mom was teaching. This it wasn't just about getting your room clean or making sure the kitchen was tidy. It was really a life skill. It was
Yeah.
principles that can be applied in other areas of life. So I was thankful and I even more appreciative, I should say, for the childhood that I had, because I see now that my mom and my parents, my mom and dad, were not just preparing us to be, quote, good children or good people, but they were really preparing us for life.
Right. I love that. The second thing that I thought was really interesting. Hello to you, Amazon customer over on Amazon. Thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate that. And Candace, hello to you over there on Amazon. Candace says, "Thank God for great parents." I totally agree with you on that, Candace. The second thing is when we talked about your mother. The second thing I thought was really interesting that you talk about in the book is something that men and women are told and we say, but you say it's not possible, and that is that we can have it all. I thought it was interesting you talk about earlier about the different things you were doing. What is it that helped you to come to that realization, Anissa, that you can't have it all and that that is okay?
I think about the song, I could bring home the bacon fried up in the pan, you're gonna do all that. And I'm
Right.
like, who wants to be responsible for all those tasks? I just refuse to be stressed out and try
Yeah.
to do all of that. I believe you can have a little bit of everything, but maybe not have 100% of everything. That's what I mean. So
Mhm.
I want quality of life. And what's quality of life for me may totally differ than what's quality of life for you. And unfortunately, in society, we do a lot of comparing. So,
Mhm.
what I consider to be the best quality of life, I might judge you because your definition or the way you live your life doesn't look the same as mine. And
Mhm.
so, I in my attempting to help you fix what's wrong with yours, and you might be saying, "No, I'm totally content." So, when I say you can't have it all, I can't have everything I want and everything that you want me to have too. I have to come to a conclusion. My husband and I, decide what's good for us and our household. We decide what a quality of life looks like for our household, what works for us, what fits our life dynamic. And when we create that for ourselves, we do have it all. To someone else, it may look like we go lacking, or we might need to add more, or we may have too much, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be comfortable in their own skin and create the lifestyle that they desire.
I think it's such a great point for sure. And that leads me to the third thing, Dr. Nessa, and that is what you mentioned on verse 26. I actually want to read this because I thought this was really interesting and a great lesson I know I've benefited from myself personally. So, this is something, even though the book is called The Quintessential Woman, for us guys out there, it's some great principles for us to remember as well. But you say this in verse 26, for those who have the print edition like I do on page 51. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. You say it's the life application, Dr. Nessa. Always seek wisdom. It is the principal thing. As you seek it for yourself, offer this to others as well. Remember the mandate to older, mature women. They are advised to teach the younger. And then you mentioned Titus 2, which you referenced earlier, with your other book, 3 through 5, reminds us of the importance of mentors. We are blessed to be a blessing. Now, this is something, if people heard the first part of our conversation, that you have been this for others. But what has it been like for you to have those people for yourself that you're able to learn from?
Oh my God, it's been a life change. It really has. There have been things that I've learned later that I wish that I had learned much earlier, and that's not because I can't say that the opportunity was not there. Maybe I wasn't open for it, or maybe I wasn't ready for it. But
Mm.
throughout my journey as an adult woman, I moved away from home. I had a great foundation to start with. Let me just say that I've already emphasized that.
Yep.
But when I moved away at the age of 24 because of my work, um God, I really, my steps were really, I say, ordered. I had great people in my space. Even when I went to graduate school, there was a couple there. They were probably about 10 years older than I was, but they took me under their wing as a little sister, so to say, helped me matriculate the graduate school experience. I had them as an ear, as mentors, as big brother, big sister. Then when I moved away from home, there was a woman who worked with me who was, not quite old enough to be my mom, but close enough. And she was always a listening ear, someone that I could speak with and speak to. And her husband looked out for me as if I was one of his daughters. If I needed anything, I knew I could call on them. Later, after my husband and I married and we moved to Jackson, Mississippi, we lived there for 13 years. We got connected with a local church, and that pastor and his wife really became surrogates for us through a lot of the challenges that we faced, with life in general, as a newly married couple, and someone building a life together, and just life in general. So I've had those folk in my space. I've always had someone to help me through navigate through the varied segments of life. And then after moving to North Carolina, Dr. Norma, I met her soon after that. And she was the one to help with the development of of me growing into where I am right now, honestly. Being able to take everything that I've learned in my corporate experience, everything I've learned in working with other organizations and entities, and my formal education, and then placing it in this publishing space and being able to use all of it. But I had to be open, and she became my mentor, and she gave me the push and, as I say, the kick sometimes necessary to see things from a different light. And of course, for that, I'm eternally grateful.
And one thing we have not talked about here, Dr. Nissen, we can't not talk about it because it's a big part of what you do too, is what you do in media. What does it feel like for you to build your own media platform too?
It's being built as we speak, Cyrus. That was one of the things that I embraced as a result of being a part of Chosen Pen Publishing,
Mhm.
because we had the podcast broadcast of conversations with Chosen Pen. Now it's really pretty much my baby to do what I want to do. I love that space because I'm able to spotlight and showcase other people. I'm able to open up a door of opportunity for them, like the doors were open for me. And so that has evolved into even public speaking in South Africa. It's just been a blast. It really has.
So, what is your hope then when people they've heard our conversation around the quintessential woman? Again, for those of you who know what we're doing here in Mississippi, this book is going to be part of our giveaways that we're doing on Saturday, October the 25th. So you can make sure you guys are there to be able to get a chance to be able to get that. Of course, you can get it right now on Amazon as well. But what do you hope this book does for men and women that may pick it up, either for themselves, Dr. Anissa, or for someone that they know and respect?
I really want people to understand that their leadership potential is tied to their legacy. And when you read the Proverbs 31 woman, I've had others to say that I brought out nuggets that they had not considered or even read before. And I'm thankful for that because I had not read anybody else's book on Proverbs 31. All of this is strictly from my own study and, things being revealed to me. But I
Yeah.
want people to take away from that, women especially, is that they are leaders. Their leadership does not have to look like anyone else's, but their legacy is tied to their leadership as well. So, what they pour out into their children, if they don't have children, what they pour out into others, when they are intentional about being a mentor and operating in a leadership capacity to be a person of influence, they leave a mark. Their voice has value. So, they need to write the book and create the platform and have and do the speaking engagement, so whatever it is that their hearts desire, because it's going to be through that they're going to make a mark on society, on their community, on their families, that will live beyond them.
Yeah, such a great point. Again, everyone, Dr. Anissa Short has been our guest. You can get this book and others here on Amazon, either in our carousel here on the side or down below, depending on what device you're watching us on. Dr. Anissa, great conversation with you. How can our audience stay connected with you?
They can find me at anissashort.com. That's my personal website. They can also connect with me through chosenpengroup.com. That's the business website. And then, of course, I'm always on social media. I'm Dr. Anissa Short on Facebook as well as LinkedIn.
Dr. Anissa, great conversation. Looking forward to our next time together.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. I look forward to next month as well.
All right. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.